Every civilization dreams of becoming immortal. Some build pyramids, others carve mountains into monuments. They all believe that if their creations survived, then perhaps they would survive too. But more than 2,000 years ago, one city dreamed far bigger than monuments. It dreamed of preserving human thought itself. Before the streets filled with merchants, before philosophers argued beneath marble columns, before kings reshaped the destiny of nations, the city was already chasing an impossible dream. Imagine spending months crossing dangerous seas, carrying your most valuable possessions. Gold could be stolen, food could spoil, but knowledge was priceless. To travelers arriving by sea, that lighthouse meant safety. To scholars, it meant opportunity. To kings, it represented power. But hidden beyond its walls stood something even more extraordinary. This wasn't merely another city, it was Alexandria. Founded in 331 BC by a man whose ambition seemed limitless. Alexander the Great. Alexander imagined a city that would unite the known world. A crossroads where ideas could travel as freely as merchants. But he would never live to see that dream become reality. When Alexander died, his empire shattered almost overnight. His generals fought over the pieces. One of them, a man named Ptolemy, claimed Egypt, and with it, Alexander's unfinished dream. Most rulers build armies, others build palaces. Ptolemy wanted something different. He wanted Alexandria to become the greatest center of learning the world had ever known. His vision sounded impossible. Collect every book, every poem, every scientific discovery, every philosophy, every map, every idea from every civilization. Imagine creating a place where the greatest minds on Earth could study together, where knowledge from distant cultures wasn't feared, but welcomed, where questions mattered more than power. It wasn't just a library, it was humanity's boldest experiment, an attempt to gather all knowledge beneath one roof. Every ship entering Alexandria faced the same unexpected rule. Any books or scrolls on board had to be surrendered. The copies were returned to their owners, but the originals stayed. Over time, the library became something no civilization had ever possessed, a growing collection of humanity's memory. Every new scroll was another victory against forgetting. Every copied manuscript, another voice rescued from silence. Because somewhere, beyond these walls, history had already begun writing the library's final chapter. Close your eyes and imagine walking into the greatest library the world has ever known. There are no computers, no electricity, no printing press, yet somehow, everything humanity knows is being gathered here. This wasn't a place where books gathered dust. It was alive. Every hallway echoed with debate. Every room held a different question waiting to be answered. Every scroll carried the voice of someone who refused to let their ideas disappear. Every manuscript that entered Alexandria faced the same journey. Teams of expert scribes copied each scroll by hand, line by line. It wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, but accuracy mattered, because one mistake could erase an idea forever. In an age before backup copies, every scroll was priceless. Fire, water, war, even insects could erase centuries of knowledge in a single moment. Alexandria became something the ancient world had never seen, a meeting place for ideas. Greek philosophy stood beside Egyptian astronomy. Babylonian mathematics met observations from distant lands. Different cultures, different languages, yet all chasing the same goal, understanding the world. Some historians believe the library may have held hundreds of thousands of scrolls, though the exact number remains uncertain. Whatever the true total, no other library of its time came close to its ambition. Imagine spending an entire lifetime reading and still never reaching the final shelf. Among the people who studied in Alexandria were minds that transformed history. Euclid organized the principles of geometry into a system that would shape mathematics for more than 2,000 years. Eratosthenes used shadows cast in different cities to estimate the Earth's circumference. His result was astonishingly close to the modern value. Physicians pushed the boundaries of medicine, astronomers mapped the heavens, poets preserved stories, historians recorded civilizations. Every generation added another layer to humanity's memory. For centuries, knowledge became Alexandria's greatest treasure. Not gold, not silver, not armies, ideas. But history has a cruel habit. Whenever something extraordinary rises, the world eventually tests whether it can survive. The people inside these walls couldn't know it. They believed they were preserving knowledge forever. They had no idea that the greatest threat to the library wasn't a single fire or a single army. It was time itself. Because somewhere beyond these walls, powerful men were making decisions that would echo through history. And soon, one of those decisions would place the greatest collection of knowledge on Earth directly in the path of war. The fire was coming. There is an old saying, knowledge gives people power, but history teaches a different lesson. Power always comes looking for knowledge, and sooner or later, war follows. By the 1st century BC, Alexandria had become one of the greatest cities on Earth. Merchants arrived from every corner of the Mediterranean. Scholars debated ideas that would shape generations. Kings admired it. Travelers wrote about it. To the outside world, Alexandria looked untouchable. But history has a cruel habit. The greatest disasters rarely announce themselves. They begin quietly, with a decision, a rivalry, or a single person chasing power. Hundreds of miles away, another empire was reaching the height of its ambition. Rome, stronger than ever, richer than ever. But beneath its marble temples, the Republic was tearing itself apart. At the center of the storm stood one man, Julius Caesar, brilliant, ambitious, feared by his enemies, admired by his soldiers, a commander whose victories had made him a legend, and whose ambition had made him dangerous. Rome was no longer fighting foreign kingdoms. Romans were fighting Romans. Friends became enemies. Senators became fugitives. Generals hunted each other across continents, and that civil war would eventually reach the shores of Alexandria. In 48 BC, Caesar arrived in Egypt. Officially, he came to settle a dispute over who should rule the kingdom. In reality, he walked into a struggle far more complicated than anyone expected. For Caesar, this was supposed to be diplomacy. Instead, he found himself trapped inside a city where every alliance could become a betrayal and every street could become a battlefield. Alexandria was no longer simply a center of learning. It had become the front line of a war. And somewhere beyond the palace walls, the library continued its work. Scribes copied scrolls, scholars debated philosophy, teachers explained mathematics, unaware that history was moving toward them with terrifying speed. It is one of history's cruelest contrasts. In one building, people struggled to preserve ideas for future generations. Outside, armies prepared to destroy each other. Then, Caesar made a decision, one that would echo through history for more than 2,000 years. To prevent the Egyptian fleet from falling into enemy hands, Caesar ordered ships in the harbor to be burned. It was a military decision, a desperate one, but fire has never respected human plans. Did those flames reach the library? Ancient writers would spend centuries arguing over that question. Some believe they did. Others believe the greatest library in history survived that night. So, what really happened?